Welcome back to the Peggy Smedley Show, the podcasting voice of IoT and digital transformation.
This is Peggy Smedley, and we are back coming to you live from CES 2020 with the Peggy Smedley Show, and I am here right now. How are you doing? I am so excited. I am here with Tyson, Marian. You are the Chief Commercial Officer of Plume.
Doing fantastic. Feet are a little bit sore, and my neck is,
From going like this?
Cranked, from looking at all the TVs on the ceilings, but I feel pretty good.
We were just commenting before this segment that it's a little crazy if you're through Central. TVs everywhere hanging up, and some of the big TV companies having them, and we don't want to yell certain words because who knows if there's going to be a stampede, but if we get crazy we might. But we were saying let's yell popcorn, maybe
free
a little
popcorn.
Run, free popcorn.
Free
I don't
popcorn.
know, but it's a little bit. But you know what I want to know? Tell us about Plume. I really have not had you guys on the show before, so I don't really know a whole lot about Plume.
Yeah, sure. So we are what we call a consumer experience management platform. I know that's a mouthful.
Yeah, that is a mouthful.
But our entire mission in life at the moment is to basically help evolve the smart home. From where we thought was kind of the end of 1.0, Plume has picked up and evolved it and sort of drove things forward to become the smart home 2.0. And the way we kind of think about it is Plume's collecting data inside the home, and ultimately at an aggregate level, and trying to make sense of that data so that we can provide more personalized experiences back to the consumer. The way I like to kind of think about it is Smart Home 1.0 was all about hardware. It was all about devices. What protocol did you use? What new lock was coming out? What new light bulb was coming out? It really wasn't about data. It was about starting to produce data. And Smart Home 2.0 is there to help try and deliver on the promise that your home will actually be smart with a layer of intelligence. So if you think about it, an example I always give is when you call into a call center, which we all hate to do, right? And we hate to do that, why? Typically because they don't know who we are. And we actually get quite upset when they don't know who we are. And then they pass us from one person to the next, and that next person doesn't know who we are. And really what's missing is kind of a layer of intelligence. And that layer of intelligence, if it were there, would allow those folks to serve us like VIPs. We expect to be served as VIPs. And it's same in the home. We have all these devices. We bought all these smart locks, these smart thermostats, and they're all producing data about us. And we're in our home. It's a very private place for us. And our intent is to do something, right? To move from intent to action very quickly. But the piece that's been missing is this layer of intelligence that sits atop, that basically aggregates all of that data inside the home and then tries to make sense of it so that we can provide back to you, we can cater to you and provide you more personalized experiences. And that's really what the difference is that we're actually now starting to use the data in an intelligent fashion to deliver these unique experiences back to you as the consumer, because that's what you expect, right? You're the VIP inside your home.
Is the data that we're getting that you just described, is it there yet, or is this what you hope to get us to the point? Because all of these smart home products right now are not easily integratable.
Sure.
So that's part of the frustration that we have as consumers. But is that a part of this data that you hope to achieve, that we have these easier experiences that you're trying to get us to?
The data's there. The intelligence layer is probably the most important piece. So Plume is really a cloud data-driven company, and the magic really happens in that cloud. The data's there because these devices are producing data all the time, and as we sort of come in through the home. We started the company by saying essentially, you can't really have a smart home until you have a well-connected home.
So that maybe is the way I should have said it. The data's there, but have it easily integratable and connected in the proper way.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so our roots were in making sure that you had a well-connected home. We did that through Wi-Fi, through the routers. And once we solved that problem, we said, now that you have a well-connected home, we want to make sure you have a secure home. So we built a layer of cybersecurity into our product as well, that now that you have that well-connected home, and enable all those devices to work appropriately as they should with a great quality of experience, we now need to protect those devices. So we layered in a level of cybersecurity as well. Then we said, okay, now that we've connected your home, we've secured your home, now we want to start giving you control over your home. And so we have a product suite called Home Pass that includes parental controls and access controls on the network. But that still wasn't enough. So now where we've moved to is, now let's take advantage of collecting all that data in your home from all the different disparate devices, regardless of who the manufacturer is, in a single, rather than being in a single Nest ecosystem or an Amazon ecosystem, we see everything at an aggregate level. So we're almost agnostic to what the ecosystem is. Our ecosystem is inclusive of everybody. Now, as that data gets produced, we're making smart decisions in the cloud to provide these more unique experiences back to the consumer. Let me give you an example. Okay. This week at CES, we released a product called Plume Motion. And it's really about the awareness, providing you more awareness inside your home of who's there and what's actually happening inside the home at any given moment. That technology, think about it's essentially detecting motion, and it's turning all of your existing Wi-Fi connected devices in that home into motion sensing devices. And if you think about how that works, Wi-Fi is essentially sending out signals, and they either get absorbed, right, by a device, or they get deflected by something, and it changes their trajectory. So if you think about a room that was full of smoke and we walked through it, the smoke would kind of go crazy and go everywhere. Wi-Fi signals work the same way. So by turning these devices into sensors, we now can tell you, we can alert you to motion that's happening inside your home. Without you having to buy any new sensors, without you having to have anybody install those things, and provide a unique experience back to you, and fuse that with some of the other network data that we're collecting. Now that there's motion, the next question is, well, who's that motion coming from? So now that we know, based on an iPhone possibly that's sitting in your pocket, we could say, Peggy's actually, the motion is there, it's Peggy, no problem. Or if you have a daughter, Peggy, or a son, and you're away at work, and motion is detected in your home, you get an alert that your son or daughter came home. So we're fusing kind of that network level data with this aggregation of kind of the Wi-Fi stats inside your home to provide more knowledge and unique experiences to you as the consumer. And that's key, is that it's all of the devices. It's not these separate Google or Amazon ecosystem. It's all of the devices in your home.
Or in my case, my 3 dogs are having a party on my couch.
Exactly.
See, that's what's happening.
Right.
So for all of these consumer applications that you're looking at, are we looking at whatever the new technology that'll come out? Do you kind of look at this as like, this is going to be really ever changing for what we're looking at right now?
It's a fantastic question. The other unique thing about Plume is that it's a platform, and there is a big component of the solution that Plume actually chose to open source. And by open sourcing a lot of the technology, we've invited third parties, people who are much smarter than us, to come in and develop their own unique use cases on the Plume platform and get distribution through our large channels, and we're in tens of millions of homes today, to get access to those consumers, right, with their unique use cases. So our belief is that over time in the future, that there is kind of, right now, we're starting to see really the seeds of a new app store being developed for the smart home. And we believe that that's the Plume platform. Because we have such large distribution and we have an open platform that invites third parties, we don't have to come up with the next one. We can have third parties come and integrate their own unique use cases and solutions on the Plume platform and deliver those back to consumers through either an app or whatever it may be, the interface. But ultimately, that's a key piece. We have an open platform that invites third parties to come develop on it and deliver those solutions directly to the consumers.
From a commercial driver standpoint, I mean, do we have to look at, there's a lot of standards being done right now, you've got got all these different standards and protocols. I mean, where does all of this come into play with what you're trying to do right now?
Yeah. So we believe that there are always going to be a bunch of different standards, and I think it's almost hurt the evolution of the smart home. If you think over the last 5 years, you have Thread and HomeKit and Zigbee and Z-Wave, and Wi-Fi and all these different protocols, and it has hurt, I think, the acceleration or the development of the smart home. As it relates to Plume, we look at it as data. So, as a device is producing data, that data ultimately has to go back to the internet. And because Plume's technology sits in the router, it's collecting that data and pushing it to our cloud. So we like more and more solutions. The different protocols or the different standards aren't necessarily going to hinder us from helping evolve the smart home because of the level to where we sit.
Do you think are there any commercial drivers for these manufacturers as they go forward to kind of want to bring more? Because this is how I look at it right now. I kind of see right now there's got to be a shakeout of where all these companies, because they can't keep producing to all of these things. They have to kind of say, this is where we're going to kind of develop at some point, is what I will kind of get it to at some point, I guess, is what I'm thinking. Yeah,
I think you're exactly right. I think the thing that drives commercial standards is self-interest for these companies.
Exactly.
Right? And with Plume's scale, I think that's a huge driver. Again, as people are developing new devices or new software applications or use cases, they're looking for distribution. And they're looking for distribution with very little friction as it relates to, right, the internet or consumption or whatever it may be. That's where Plume comes in. Because of that scale, there's a huge commercial and an economic incentive to ultimately look at that open standard, we call it OpenSync, and develop towards that standard, whether you're a device or whether you're a software application, to develop to the open standard called OpenSync, and ultimately start ensuring that all these things actually do work together and that they can get access to this large distribution source. And that distribution sources are really consumer homes, right? Given that we're a global company with tens of millions of active homes and small business locations on the Plume network, that's what all these device companies, that's what all these software service companies are looking for, is that distribution. They want to get access to that consumer. We're kind of the place to do it.
Now, I also saw that you guys did some research, or that you were saying that, I was looking at some numbers, that you say from an average of 18 devices per home to 31 devices you're predicting by 2022. Is that what you are seeing based on some research that you
That's kind of the trajectory we're seeing. Again, given we see today a little bit over 650 million devices across our network, and we have a pretty good sense of kind of where that's going to be and the trajectory of that. We do believe that there will be about 31, possibly more devices by 2022, and we only see that number going up.
That's only in a couple years. I mean, we're not saying we're in 2020 right now. I mean, that's a big jump.
You and I are wearing Apple Watches.
Yeah.
Right? We've got phones. You have a computer sitting in front of you. Just in our little confined space here, we have...
Yeah, we've got 4 or 5, right?
We've got 4 or 5 devices.
Yeah.
So imagine a home that has 3 kids, all of who have their own phones, parents who have their own phones, lights, thermostats, garage door opener. I mean, anybody could quit. You even these Peloton bikes and these things. If we look today, I think people are always surprised at how many connected devices they actually have in their home.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point. The average person, the average body is 7.
That's right.
If we think about that going on, or where it'll continue to be. So looking at this and looking at what you've seen on the show floor, what is your take? Are we going to see a more exponential growth of smart home connected devices? Are we going to see a consolidation like we did of ebooks and those kind of things? Or are we going to, where do you see the market going then?
Yeah, I think there will be probably a few winning ecosystems. I think Google and Amazon have kind of have proven that they can do that. They can build out these ecosystems. I think there's the device ecosystem play, but I actually think that the services delivered to the consumers in the smart home 2.0 and in the future are really reliant upon data. So people will continue to build more devices. I think a lot of those devices, ultimately, those who have scale are probably best positioned to limit really the growth of multiple people producing the same type of device. But I think more and more devices for more and more use cases will absolutely come. I think in the future what we're going to see is that the services delivered, the intelligent services, again, these VIP services that cater to your needs and are personalized, right? That's where we're going to see the explosion of growth, right? It's not the devices themselves, it's making intelligent decisions based on what data they're actually producing.
So in your take now, we've got a few minutes, what's the home going to look like, the connected home going to look like by 2025?
Yeah, I mean, it's the connected home. I mean, we've seen these movies, right? We walk in and somebody, some voice speaks to us and says...
We kind of saw it, right? In
yeah,
Central. It's crazy,
we did.
Right?
Yeah.
Screens overhead,
And says, welcome home, Peggy. I ordered you a Caesar salad and have turned on your favorite music for the night, right? And your lights come on, and I think that's going to become more of a reality over time here.
Affordable reality, though?
Affordable reality.
Very
I do.
Now.
I think very affordable. I mean, if you look at some of the devices that we've seen come out, especially related to the voice interface itself. If we look back probably about 3 years of when those devices came out, how expensive they were. Take the Amazon Echo. At the time that it came out, I think it was like $149 or $249, something like that. This past Christmas holiday season, I walked into a Best Buy and they were giving away Google Minis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just giving them away.
Cheap.
Right,
yeah,
so I actually do think it'll be affordable, again, because I think what's valuable is the data that's being collected and the services delivered, and that's what's going to be monetizable, are those services, those personalized services back to the consumer. The pieces of hardware are nothing more than data on-ramps. It's just a new device to create a new type of data for a particular service.
So have you seen any technology on this show floor that has really wowed you besides the Charmin robot that brings the toilet paper to you? I'm not sure I understand. It looks like just wheels and brings you toilet paper. I'm not sure I get it, but hey, it's connected. It is.
My personal belief, and I could obviously be very wrong, is that it's not the assistant that's bringing you toilet paper or cooking your dinner for you. It's these smaller use cases. So I'll give you an example. Belkin Company is partnered with a company called Fin. And Fin basically looks at your plumbing in your home and detects whether or not you have leaks and these sorts of things.
Right.
That's kind of a small use case. Very important and could be very big one for all of us over time. But that little Fin device is a little assistant for its particular use. And so I think the smart home of the future is going to be not, again, the butler cooking you dinner or somebody bringing you toilet paper. It's going to be all these little tiny little use cases that are acting as their own, butler or special person, doing something for you on their own, but very, very good and very focused on what it does, right? And then in aggregate, taking that all together, that smart home intelligently knowing who you are and providing these personalized experiences, to me, that's the smart home of the future. It's not the robot doing all this stuff for you. It's these little devices that you put all over your home that have very specific uses, and there's a need for somebody to aggregate that data. That's what Plume does, to aggregate that data and then provide a level of intelligence that sits on top to give you real value. Whether it's
customizable
that's
experience
right.
is
Whether
so
it's
key.
Save me time, save me money, give me some information, right? Get me from my intent to action as quickly as possible. It's do those things for me, leveraging all that data.
Well, I have to tell you, Tyson Marian,
thank you.
Chief Commercial Officer of Plume. What's your URL so our listeners can go and find more information?
Absolutely. It's plume.com.
Plume.com.
Plume.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. All right, viewers, that's all the time we have for this segment. Stick around, we've got more to come. We're going to take a quick short break, but if you want, please tweet at me at ConnectedWMag, and we'd love to get your thoughts and any questions you want to ask at us. But remember, this is the Peggy Smedley Show, the podcasting voice of IoT and digital transformation. And remember, with great technology comes great responsibility. We'll be right back.